Hello, good day. Our topic for today is all about Chapter 7, Learnings and Other Marginalized Group. So let us start. Marginalized is a specific in the area of education. You may learn about different groups that are marginalized in society and in education. Moreover, you must have to explore the process that you could use identifically or issues that are marginalized in class or in school. So let me share you a story about Ika, an 8 years old girl who belongs to an indigenous group, and their people has their own culture, language, they have their own way of living. But when she wants to be educated, she must go to school and have a different culture that they didn't used to it. So in the school, other students make fun of her that the way he looks and the way he speak. She finds the things that taught her that are vague and unfamiliar things. At in the end, Aika received the low grades because of the lack of experience or unfamiliar things in school. Marginalized in education, in according to Robert Parks and Evert B. Marginalized focus on the individual who was born and raised in a culture that is immersed in a different prevailing culture. Part identify that the individual as a person who becomes a culture hybrid. Marginalized is a crisis of experience become a person concerned with an individual is a rejected. Marginalized is a basically arises when the culture are deeply embedded values, belief, standard, norms, and other factors that determine the acceptability within the certain social frame. So, just like hindi siya accepted sa in the society or within the group or in the classroom. Marginalized education is regulated in recognition of knowledge or other people within a specific social standard. In 2010 Global Monitoring Report, the UNESCO states that the highest form of marginalization is therefore an insufficiently in the availability of the education of the learners. Marginalized, according to Miso, that discussed about the issues about labeling when the learners are categorized of the as belong to a certain group or depending on the learners need to or change that refers to the children with the special needs or some countries labelment to supplement resources that has his own experience that primary school student or not be accepted in the society. These are the factors of marginalization is first, the child experience some kind of marginalized that is recognized by almost everybody including him or herself. Second, child feels that he or she experience marginalization where most of others do not recognize this. Third, when the child is found in what appears to be marginalized in situation but doesn't not feel it and doesn't not view it is a marginalization. Fourth is when the child experience marginalization but doesn't not admit that he is marginalized or being not accepted or being bullied. So that's all for my topic and thank you.
Good day, ma'am. I am Desiree Laman Ijan. My report is all about different learners in marginalized group. So, what do you mean by marginalization? It's the process in which something or someone is pushed to the edge of a group and assigned lesser importance. an individual's feeling of being left out from meaningful participation in a society's processes and activities even though he and she is a former member of the society. Let's moving on to our topic, which is child laborers or domestic workers. Child labor is the practice of having children engage in economic activity or part of full-time basis at a very young age, and they are already working. The unfavorable lives that has been given to these children has much more detrimental impacts to their physical and mental development. According to the International Labour Organization or ILO, child labor affects 215 million minors worldwide. The child labor is where children at their young age choose to work due to poverty. They have no choice but to do it even it is hard because if they will not do it, then they cannot survive from their everyday living. Due to this, they are not able to send in school because the time that they should spend to the study was spent to work. There is already law that protects to the right of the child. Included here is the child should not allowed to work because it is their parents' responsibility to provide their basic needs. Impacts of child labor on academic performance. First, child labor generates negative effects that hinder the child's cognitive, emotional, and social development. Second, in the majority of cases, child labor makes etiquette child in youth inclusion and education system difficult. Second is indigenous peoples. Generally shares a common sense of identity and common characteristics such as language, religion, tribe, nationality, race, or combination thereof. There are 11 indigenous peoples communities numbering between 15 million to 20 million. In Luzon, there were about 30% rate for the population of indigenous people, where in Visayas, there are about less than 10% of the population rate, as well as in Mindanao, which has roughly about more than 60% population rate. These indigenous people living within the Philippine country. What are the harsh encounters that most of our indigenous fellow men experience in a normal classroom setting? First is school as a venue of discrimination. Second, prejudice. Third, financial inadequacy. The fourth, comprehension difficulties and adjustment difficulties. How to address these issues? Order number 320-2015, the need for the teachers serving in the indigenous communities to be adequately oriented and trained so that indigenous cultures are appreciated and indigenous cultural practices and values are not discriminated as backward, inferior, invalid, or primitive. That's all. Thank you.
Good day, ma'am. Good day, everyone. So, my report is all about the marginalization and inclusion. So, in Miss U 2012, manifest how young people's voice can intensify systems, process, and experiences in congruence with inclusive education. So, voice is clearly identified as one of the students' rights. So, it means having a say as well as referring to language and emotional components as well as nonverbal means that are used to express opinions. So, according to Thompson 2008, as cited in Matthew 2012. So, it means attending to the words, emotions, and behavior of young people and providing them with various opportunities to fully participate and collaborate with adults in education. So, in the book Controlling Marginalization in Education by Matthew 2012, posits a framework that focuses on the collaborative activity between young people and adults in education that promotes inclusion. So it also takes into consideration other factors that contextualize marginalization, like the curriculum. So systems within society are the effects of administration and management on everyday lives of teachers and young people in schools. So the framework demonstrates a four-step cyclical process that is quite flexible. So this is the framework. So, Figure 7, Miss Yu's revised framework for promoting inclusion 2012. So, as you can see, the opening doors, so enabling voices to emerge and looking closely, bringing concerns to the surface, and as well as making sense of the evidence, so sharing data with learners. And then the in the right left side, we can see the dealing marginalization, so it encouraging inclusive thinking and practice. So step 1, opening doors, enabling voices to be heard. So situating the students in the center of the process, various methods are used to allow them to express how various concerns and experiences lead to marginalization of students in school. So the students are respected as active participants. So different methods suggested to be used are appropriate to the age of the learners. So they are drawing, role playing, doing interviews, engaging in group discussion, analyzing visual images, and other quantitative ways to measure social relationships. So the question asked here is, what do you think are practices, behavior, policies, and systems in class or in school that cause marginalization? So in step 2, looking closely. So bringing concerns to the surface. So in this stage of the process, data gathered from step 1 is meticulously examined to identify students who may be experiencing some kind of marginalization or any concerns that might lead to marginalization. So it is the practitioners who study the data. So at least there were students who acted as co-researchers, staff, and members should gather and discuss the data gathered and basic information that is surfacing from specific students to about the distinct concerns. So the question asked here is, are there persons or students in class who experience being marginalized, or and how? And then step 3, making sense of evidence or sharing data with learners. So it is during this time that there is an explicit focus on the concerns about marginalization that were gathered from the previous step. So only concerns or issues are discussed and no names are mentioned. So students are asked to think about their own experiences as well as about what their classmates feel and experience. So this involves a discussion between the students and the between the adults and the students and everybody learners to form or each other. And step 4, dealing with marginalization, encouraging inclusive thinking and practice. So collaboration between the adults and students in this phase is very significant. So it spells out the response of the group and the concrete actions that were shared in this previous step. So the process does not end in step 4. It goes on and makes adults mindful of what the young people have to say. So the actions that are taken are the results of a shared goal of inclusion in MSU 2012. So that is all. Thank you.